Today we're going to have a look at another type of assembly in which we are going to bring together the top and the carcass for our little mechanical box. And here is an example of a completed hinged box that we're going to hopefully have two of to finish this product off. Okay, so what you can see here is my pine carcass, and I'm going to use a piece of ply for the top to get a contrast with the materials here, and I'm going to use a butterfly hinge here to actually assemble the two components to join them together. And what that's going to allow for is the top tray of the mechanical box to open and close like you see here. Well, the first thing that you need to have done before you can consider hinging your box is to prepare the parts. So you can see here that I have finished my tray. I have applied some varnish as you've seen in the previous video, and I have now sized my top to suit the carcass, and I have applied a thin, even coat of varnish to this top piece as well. Okay, so we are really ready to go here. The first thing that you need to do when we're going to apply our hinges to join the two parts together is to decide what's going to be the correct and I suppose the most appropriate hinge to use for this product. Well, the two hinges that are commonly used in the woodworking skills course would be the butt hinge that you see here, and also the butterfly hinge that we're going to use in this little box here. The butt hinge, generally you would find this on a door frame, where you would embed the butt hinge into the door as well as the frame, so that you get a nice tight fit between the door and the frame when it is closed. You'll notice that the butt hinge is not particularly decorative. It's not chosen for its aesthetic purposes. That's why it is not the suitable hinge for this product. As we are planning on attaching the hinge to the outside of our product here, it's more appropriate to choose a more decorative hinge which has a more aesthetic appeal. So for this reason we are going to choose the decorative hinge for this product. So that's a little bit about the hinges. I'm just going to put the butt hinge to one side, and I'm going to think about what I need to do to make sure that the hinge ends up in the correct position for this box. Well, as there is going to be two of these side by side, and the rebates have been put on the side pieces as opposed to the ends, we're going to need to consider attaching the hinge to the side or the end with the two rebates with the end grain showing. Okay, so that's first and most important thing, to make sure the hinge goes onto the right face. So once I've selected the face, I'm now going to join these two together using some masking tape to hold them securely while I do my marking out. So the masking tape is just going to hold that together, the top and bottom, while I do my marking out. It doesn't need to be particularly neat and tidy. It just needs to be secure enough that the top will not move when the carcass is getting marked on. Just like so. So that's not going to go anywhere. So the next thing, I'm going to take my butterfly hinge and I'm going to place that in the desired location. Now, of course, I want this to be neat and I want it to be accurate, so I'm going to use a steel rule to measure the distance in from both sides. So I have 25mm here and about 30 on this side, so I'm just going to have to move this across slightly to get this hinge centred on this side. And as well as that, I need to just move that around slightly just so that it is level and parallel with the top. Once I've got that, I'm going to mark, using a pencil, some circles to indicate where the screws are going to go. Once I've done that, I can remove the hinge and then drill my pilot holes with a cordless drill. So with your pencil, just hold the hinge in the correct place, try not to move it around any. If you do move it around, I would recommend measuring again with the steel rule to make sure it was still positioned in the location that you were after. Just like so. And then once you remove the hinge, you'll see here that we have 6 circles in the correct location where we intend on drilling our pilot hole. Just ignore this little sloppy pencil mark here, we can remove that later on. So, pencil down. The next thing to do is to use a cordless drill with, well, this is actually a panel pin that I've removed the head of, and that's going to be the appropriate size for drilling the pilot holes for my little countersink wood screws. So holding the box, I'm going to drill a pilot hole, 6 in fact, into the pine carcass and into the plywood top. So I'm just going to go ahead and complete that just now. Obviously you can't see my face there, but it's very important that you make sure you've got safety goggles and any other safety equipment appropriate to this task. Okay, 6 pilot holes drilled, and that's what you see there, 6 pilot holes, and you can see there that the masking tape has really done its job, making sure that the top and the carcass don't move around when I'm marking out, or actually when I'm drilling the pilot holes as well. So the next thing, I've got my butterfly hinge, I'm going to stick that back on in the correct location. What would maybe be a good idea just now would be to rub away any lines left over from the marking out before you attach the hinge. So on in the correct location, I'm going to gather my countersink wood screws, the appropriate size for the pilot hole, and I'm also going to get my Posi-Drive screwdriver here. And I'm going to start to attach the hinge. So twisting the screwdriver in a clockwise motion. Six of them to do. I'm going to put all 3 in the top part of the hinge attached to the plywood, and then I will see if that is in the correct location for it to be attached onto the carcass. So with these 3 screws in, I'm just going to double check that the holes and the hinge still line up to make sure the assembly is still going to be successful. You can see all these holes have lined up just quite nicely, so the last thing I've got to do is put in this final screw, take the tape off and just double check that it opens and closes. Of course, to do that I will need to remove the masking tape, and here we have our hinged box, okay, our hinged tray, which will go to make up the mechanical tray, which will eventually open and close like so. Okay, thank you.